get it to... Yeah, let's put this here. There it goes. You hold that stuff. We place holder. This is a place holder. Okay. Okay, what's up, guys? King and I, Vincent, Valentine EX Turk. And, well, it's too late to stream game stuff, so I'm going to be streaming. And I'm pretty tired, so I don't feel like playing a whole game for this, so pretty much, we're going to be talking about my Final Fantasy TCG stuff. And here's my customized deck box I made for it. It's just a Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic deck box. I just printed off the Final Fantasy VII design with the original Final Fantasy VII characters. You know, Vincent being on the bottom. And that's pretty much it. So, to get started, let's talk about the supports and stuff here. I'm going to go do a history sort of individual videos. So, these are the cases for it. These are actually legitimate Final Fantasy TCG cases. These are usually $20 a piece. Especially the Final Fantasy VII Advent Children selective ones. But these ones are made for the Final Fantasy TCG or Magic the Gathering, since Magic the Gathering is the same card size as the TCG. Now, let's go and look at the deck. Alright. So, we got Red 13. Pretty much, if you want to, the deck I'm building is a Vincent Valentine type of deck. And the best way to build a Vincent Valentine deck, you need to have a lot of red stone, yellow stones. You know, a lot of red stones and red stones are good. Yellow stones and red stones are good. Fire and Thunder are good support for like Vincent Valentine or anything Final Fantasy VII. Now, you could do it blue stones too, but, you know, just a little bit. Like, the Sephiroth blue stone makes sense in a Final Fantasy, because in Final Fantasy TCG format, usually a deck with the same series is actually pretty balanced. It balances itself out if you got cards of the same series. Again, I'm still just a beginner. You know. But, yeah. I wouldn't go too crazy with Bluestone, but if you do a Bluestone character, I would do one that's from the same series of the deck you're building. Whether you're building the Final Fantasy X, 7, 13, 15, etc. You know. And these are I think these are easier some than the other Sephiroths. But Sephiroths are pretty hard to summon, but they do good things. With first strikes, when Sephiroth enters the field, each player discards 2 cards from their hand. So you pretty much make your opponent discard cards when it gets its first strike. So it's good to have that. I'd get 3 of those. You know. And then this is Yellowstone again. Those are just support. These are just support cards, I think. That's a standard unit. For each damage you take and have received, Dark Knight gains 1,000 in power, which is really good. You know, I'd keep support stuff because they're just like land, pretty much. The standard units are just like how it is with Magic the Gathering and land, or Link summons in Yu-Gi-Oh. It's kind of like you gotta have the standard stuff in there. So I wouldn't take out the standard stuff, you know. So I kept everything from the Final Fantasy VII structure deck and just put it in the cases. Like, I didn't take, the only thing I did was just changed some of the units, like some of the tactics units that they put in there, you know. I just switched a little bit out and put all their stones in here just to make a more balanced deck. For one thing I learned about from Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic is you gotta have a balance of cards, not just only one type. But I'm just saying that one type works for an archetype, but I'd put other types in it to build it up a little bit. Again, I'm just a beginner, but I just pretty much, the only thing I really did was change up the Final Fantasy TCG deck from when I bought the deck. That I just took out some cards. Like, it's just copies of some of these cards that aren't needed, you know. Like, like I said, I keep the standard units. The standard units are actually more important to keep, but I did switch a few of it out. Like, for Yellowstone, I think Rama is good. You could choose deal 4,000, deal that 5,000 damage, which is really good. And once I know how to play the game, I'll actually once I know how to play the game, I will stream me playing the Final Fantasy TCG. You know, of course, I'm more the e-sport kind of guy, so I'm probably gonna be all about Dissidia when that comes out. Now, I will never switch out a Cloud. Especially this is the main Cloud from the deck. And his attack is really good. And this Cloud, pretty much, when it goes in the field, reduced by one for each category for control. Each time a forward you control attacks, it gains 1,000 power to the end of the turn. Choose to deal 8,000 damage if you use Clemazard. You know, and that's when you sacrifice a standard unit, I think. That's how it goes. So, yeah. Yeah, I didn't take the Clouds out. That's something I'm keeping in. Even though this is a Vincent Valentine based deck. Or at least, not all of it. I still need to get all the Vincent Valentine cards. Because there are different... Now, hasn't... Even in the Japanese format, there has not been a different Stone Vincent. There's always been a Yellow, which is kind of confused because, you know, Yellow's supposed to be for lightning. And Vincent is actually... Vincent would fit more as a fire-based... monster, considering, you know, the red jacket and the cover of Dirge of Cerberus, you know. You would think that he'd be a fire base, but for some reason they made him Yellowstone. But they're gonna, I know they're probably gonna release it though. They're probably gonna end up releasing I could see them like releasing a Redstone Vincent. I could see them releasing a Redstone Vincent, you know. It's a red standard unit. Standard units are easier to summon and they're good. Oh, I think you have to sacrifice your standard units for like monsters, like regular monsters, like it is with the Vincent Valentines. But I kept the 3 Vincent Valentines that came in the Final Fantasy VII structure deck because, well, I got the other one I ordered that was $1.02 because the other one, the one I bought for $1.02, is one of his strongest units. This is just his regular units right now. But once they come out with more Vincent Valentine cards in the English TCG, I'll probably end up buying it. Remember, this deck is not complete. I'm just still a beginner. I'm still pretty much a noob. But once I get ready to play the game, I will stream it on here for sure for you guys to see. But see, it's just all about standard units right here. You know, you get your standard units. You know, oh shit. You get your standard units right here. This is my strongest card in the deck so far. My level 5 Vincent Valentine. And with this one, when a Vincent Valentine attacks, gains first strikes at the end of the turn, choose it 1 forward and it deals 6,000 damage. So it's even stronger than a Cloud because this is a higher level of Vincent. Now the Chaos form is actually the 10,000 attack one, but you have to I think you had to give up 3 Vincents, I think, in order to do Chaos Vincent from the Dirge of Cerberus, because it's the strongest version of him. And because they have like cards for different with different artwork, but really what it is with the different artwork of cards, artwork of cards, the different artwork of cards are just pretty much different versions. From what I know, from what I gather, they're different versions of a certain monster. They're very different, you know. Like, you know, it's the very first, you know, not very first, but very different versions that do the very different various things. I think the easiest ones to summon is level 3, because you do have to sacrifice a cost for each of them. Again, until I know how to play this game, and I get all the Vincent Valentine cards possible to make this deck perfect, you know, it'll take a while. But that's pretty much my Vincent Valentine deck, pretty much. Again, I'm not gonna be able to play meta for a while. I don't expect to play meta for a while. I'm gonna go shuffle the deck. But like I said, I'm familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, so you know, I'm pretty sure I can get familiarized with the gameplay of Final Fantasy TCG. So, and once I get like real money, I might actually build a Final Fantasy 10 deck, Final Fantasy 13 deck, because well, since I run a Final Fantasy channel and I'm part of the Final Fantasy community, it only makes sense I would keep building and building the Final Fantasy TCG decks. But nonetheless, it's like, this stuff is good. Probably not gonna be able to get the same cases again. I might have to just buy regular Magic the Gathering size cases, like the basic ones that don't have no picture on it, like the red and blue ones, and put the other ones. But this is my main deck, so my main deck has to have the special cases because it makes sense, you know. It makes sense for me to actually have this. But let's look at my. I'm gonna look at my Vincent supports. Throwing out my Vincent supports to show you how many Vincents I actually have. Someone in the comments could tell me how to play the game. That'd be pretty cool too. Like when this gets up on YouTube, of course. Right now, let me shuffle this right now. There's my Vincent Valentine supports right here. That's the deck I'm hoping to actually build once I get done. I will need more Cloud supports because Cloud and Vincent are good support together. Especially if it's the Redstone Clouds. Because, you know, a Vincent deck works better with yellow and redstone. But for some reason, they decide to give Vincent the Yellowstone. Even though Vincent's not really a character that would be familiarized with the Thunder element. And I know I sound really dorky, but I can't help it. It's just something I like talking about, you know. Again, this is a gaming channel, so I gotta understand the gaming terms and stuff like that. I gotta get in what's going on with the gaming trends. So if I sound like a little geek, that's probably why. But nonetheless, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Final Fantasy nerd, and I just don't understand why they give him the yellow stone, but whatever, we'll shuffle the other Vincents, so when I do actually play the game, or whenever I decide to, I'm not going to be cheap about it, give my opponent fair chances. But I am going to keep this Vincent as a front cover, because this is the strongest card I have in this deck, right here. Right now, at least, until I get more cards. Once I get real money, I might actually buy booster boxes. Make more other decks. I know Opus, the last Opus that came out, that's what the packs are called. The last Opus that actually came out, I think is the Villains pack, where you get more villains. And I could use a little bit more villains, I could. I think a Hojo would go good in a Vincent deck, even though, you know, in a story those two characters hate each other, but you would have one countering the other, and then, you know, and when you play somebody else, you would have someone, you'd be able to throw someone off base, and like, you know, because, I mean, you gotta have something that is able to counter your own cards, because then if they run a deck either similar or cards that do similar things, you could cancel that out. At least this is what I learned from Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, you know, because I am an avid Yu-Gi-Oh! Player and a beginner Magic player, so, I know, and again, I'm really trying to get into, you know, the TCG stuff a little bit more, just to add to my channel. So you just got to remember what you can and can't use, pretty much, or at least remember the counters, anything. That's why I'd put cards that are kind of opposite, which I know sounds crazy at first, but you know, if you're able to throw off, because if you build the same deck as everybody else in any TCG, then people won't be able to counter it. You know, like in Yu-Gi-Oh, if you build a Heraldic Beast deck that has remove from play, you know, counter cards, then remove from play deck users would be caught off guard, you know. That's why you gotta make your own kind of deck, kind of thing. Mm. But pretty much, yeah. I built this from scratch. I just took the Final Fantasy VII structure deck, opened up a bunch of Opus packs, the very first one, the one that has lightning on the cover, and just changed the deck. You know, I got a lot of cards in here. But again, like I said, I'm only learning. I'm only learning. I'm just taking baby steps and learning. When I can, of course. When I don't, have to work a whole lot. But I will stream me playing this game. I will stream me playing the Final Fantasy TCG game. And there's the standard unit that you get in any decks, the Samurai card. And what the Samurai card does is attacking does not cause this forward to dull. So pretty much my forwards will hit you, and you can't do nothing about that. If I got this guy out here, there ain't nothing you can do. You know, it'd go through. You can't stop it. Now I do have some greenstones, but this is actually pretty rare though. The Dissidia artwork, Bart's. It's actually pretty rare, which I got from the pack. I actually ordered the Sephiroths for this deck because I think Sephiroth would do good too. You need things. If it can counter your deck, if it can counter your deck, it could counter any person who either plays a similar deck or has a deck that has a similar style to yours. Because one thing I learned in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic is that nowadays all decks are kind of the same if you really think about it. So if you kind of mix it up a little bit. Ooh, this Ifrit's good too. It's an EX Ifrit. The EX chews forward. It deals 4,000 damage. So pretty much I have this. I beat you down with 4,000. A Bahamut EX Furry, which comes in the deck. The theory is choose 1/4. You may discard one card from your hand. If so, it deals 7,000 damage. If not, deals 5,000. So even if you cancel out this card, you still get hit with 5,000, and you're still gonna be a little bit out. So Oh, the Tifa's actually pretty good, and I think they're easier to summon because choose 1/4, duel it, and deal 6,000 damage. So I can, I could duel your stops. And when Master Zongan, when it enters the field, you may search for one card named Tifa. So this will actually search up a Tifa in your deck. Add it to your hand. Then the Tifa, 4 costs or less, gains haste. So pretty much. Again, I have to really learn how to play the card game. And then I think I got a Lobro from the pack, but it is a redstone, so it works in this deck for the fact it's a redstone, even though it's a Final Fantasy 13 card. Lobro, the fire forwards you gain. For fire, okay, so if I attack with a fire, pretty much, and this card's on the field, this gains 1,000 power. Or the firepower gets 1,000, because these are just basic standard supports, backup support, and it is my second strongest card, which is obviously the cover card of the Final Fantasy VII structure deck. I still need to get the other clouds. I have mixed some of this with water and all the other stuff. And when Final Fantasy II, Leela deals damage to your opponent, draw one card. So if I deal punch, I can draw one card. So I mean, I'm hoping to learn the game, but I just wanted to talk about the Final Fantasy TCG just to make some different content than just gaming content. I've been doing a lot of gaming content lately, and I'm trying to explore the TCG stuff and other stuff. Like I'm trying to do more RL to mix with my regular gaming stuff, just to mix up stuff. Plus, let's be honest, people only subscribe to see my beautiful, pretty face in the first place anyway. So if I have my beautiful, sexy face on here with my big muscles, then I get views anyways, instantly. But no, in all seriousness, this is actually just something I wanted to talk about that I'm getting into. I got to learn more of the rules. I think I got a rule book in there, but I don't know where it's at. But may the crystal be with you. Like and subscribe, and I would go check out the Final Fantasy TCG game. Now, I wouldn't. What I recommend for the Final Fantasy TCG game to get cheaper Final Fantasy TCG cards, I'd go to Troll and Toad, Toy Wiz, or any other card places that's online. Any other card places, but Toy Wiz and Troll and Toad are pretty much my big things I use for any other card game. Or sometimes vintage stock. Sometimes vintage stock will have their newest cards on sale. So, maybe not for the Final Fantasy TCG because it doesn't have enough player base to have single cards. But once they get that in vintage stock, I go check it out. But I recommend Troll, Toad, and Toy Wiz for your Final Fantasy TCG needs. And may the crystal be with you. And also, don't forget, I'd go with the Ultra Pro deck box. This is the only way you're going to play card sports. And may the crystal be with you.